Jason Johnson is a U.S. political analyst. He joins me, hopefully now, from Atlanta. There he is. Jason, it is, of course, Saturday night there in the U.S., so reaction there presumably likely to be slow. But this is a hugely significant deal, particularly for two nations, the United States and Iran, who have had a very sour relationship for the better part of 3 decades now.
Yes, and this is a major accomplishment for President Barack Obama at a time where he really needs it because he's sinking in the polls. What the president's going to be able to do is not just talk about how this is a deal to finally prevent Iran from getting the nuclear weapon that Americans have been clamoring about, but he can also link this to what happened in Syria. And the president can say with confidence, over the last 6 or 7 months, I've been able to negotiate deals with nations that we were previously calling terrorist nations to come to peaceful solutions without having to use any weapons.
And this may still be a tough sell for President Obama on Capitol Hill. A lot of skeptical congressmen and senators there, not only among opposition Republicans, but also within his own Democratic Party. How are they likely to see this?
Well, many of them are going to be skeptical. And in the United States tomorrow morning, you're going to have many politicians and analysts wake up and say, wait a minute, what are the details of this deal? How do we know that Iran is actually going to go through with it? And isn't this the same situation that we faced in 2006 with a previous resolution? So the president has a bit of a sales job to do. But what I think it's important to remember is the United States isn't just war weary, we're sanctions weary. I think there are a lot of people who economically realize that what was being done to Iran wasn't accomplishing anything. And so I think the president's going to be able to make a strong argument to skeptics both within this party and in the opposition party.
And as far as this going forward, this is, as we said, a deal for 6 months. Many people in the U.S. will be watching this keenly to see what does happen over this 6 months. And in particular, their concerns towards countries like Israel, who have expressed a lot of concern about this, and America's Mideast allies in the region, Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and so on. Also, some of that concern being expressed in Washington for America's allies there.
Right. Well, it's clear. The Israelis aren't particularly happy with the deal. The Saudi Arabians aren't particularly happy with the deal. The WikiLeaks exposure just a couple of months ago showed that many of the countries in the region were arguing and urging the United States to actually strike Iran and their nuclear facilities. So I think that there's going to be a lot of apprehension until we actually see the actual outlines of this deal. But I think right now the President of the United States is telling everyone, let's just calm down for 6 months. And if Iran follows the initial baby steps in this deal, it's something that most of the nations there will be happy with by the end, or at least that's his pitch.
And there were a lot of calls from politicians on Capitol Hill that this is actually the time to apply further sanctions, even tougher sanctions on Iran, that this was not the time to make deals and negotiate with them. But when you look at some of the details that are coming out of this deal, it does appear to keep Iran pretty reined in as far as its ability to move towards what many fear would be a nuclear weapon program.
Well, yes, the major dispute has always been that Iran has made the argument not only do they have the sovereign right to have a nuclear weapon, but they have the sovereign right to have nuclear technology. And the United States has always said that any nuclear technology in the hands of Iran was dangerous. But I think what is being very clearly delineated in this new negotiation that the president is talking about is he said specifically in his speech earlier that some nuclear technology, as long as it was peaceful for energy purposes, was fine. And so I think once that discussion actually becomes part of the American narrative, it will be much easier for people to move these sorts of conversations forward. Even though there's going to be people who want more sanctions, I think the president will stand firmly against it.
All right, for the moment, Jason Jones joining us there from Atlanta. Thanks very much for that.
Thank you.